What's up, guys? Today, I've got Mark B Donica,
NERDSoul,
late ill kid at OneYoungsta, holding it down, bringing that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people? Today, we've got another, of course, rare air. We are here with Mark B Donica. Before we get started, where can the wonderful people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mark B Donica, Instagram, same place, YouTube, same place, inventory full on Twitch. I'm all over the damn place.
He's killing it, and you're also doing your thing, Collider, you answering questions, breaking it down.
I'm on the movie trivia Schmoedown, all of that crap. Depending on when this airs, never mind, I just want to say that.
Yeah, we'll leave that because we don't want to mess up the continuity. Of course, the Collider collisions and
I like
breakdowns.
being there. I want them to keep hiring me.
Yes, please, keep bringing him on. He's great. So we have rare air. And someone brings something that I don't know what they're going to say. I have no idea. So today, what are we talking about?
Today we're going to talk as much as we can about stand-up comedy.
Oh, cool.
I've been a fan of stand-up since very, very young.
Me too.
And I've had a couple of guys that and ladies that I've followed over the years. And there was a point where I had thought that was going to be a viable outcome for me. Like I wrote jokes. I would have a set ready.
See, I'm learning new stuff.
I back actually in high school. I took a college improv course where part of the final show was everybody had to do 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then in between those 5 minutes, we did sketches. So I did. Okay. I was the opener. I wasn't the MC, but I was the opener. So that gave me all of the damn confidence in the world.
Mark history
and
right now.
I haven't done a set since, and that's been it's been a while. It's been a while, but it's one of those things where it's always been something that has been a part of my life. There's a new Netflix special. Back when there were HBO specials, I would try to figure out a way how to steal those. But there's still stuff from stand-up that I take with me in everyday life, whether it's, you know what, I need to hear this old George Carlin quote again, because it's still as relevant today as it was back in the day.
Very, tons of his stuff is mad relevant.
It's so insane how he was doing stuff back during Clinton, and it made sense during Bush, and it made sense, and some of it made sense during Obama, and a lot of it makes sense during Trump. It's really interesting. The man was taken from us far too soon.
He was that's the mark of a great comedian, someone who can kind of make things that different generations or different time periods can relate to. And for me, I'll ask you this, because for me, this is what great comedy is. Great comedy is to be able to make a specific statement or commentary about something in our society, our relationships, our day-to-day life that's silly, that's funny, and deep, all at the same time.
I would add to that something that hits with as many people as possible.
Okay, yeah.
But not to say that it's general.
Yeah, but
man, I don't remember how long ago this was, but I got to see George Lopez live at the Universal Amphitheater, which doesn't exist anymore.
Wow.
And he was doing he grew up in the Valley. He grew up a couple of blocks away from where I grew up. So a lot of the landmarks, a lot of the stories, a lot of that. I may not be Latino, but you kind of know where those things are. That's still where I grew up. That's still where I grew up. And he was saying stuff and making references to stuff on Sepulveda and this, that, and the other thing. And I had this big Mexican dude next to me, and we were elbowing each other and laughing. And I was a kid. I was mid-teens, but it was still just a thing of
it was perfect because it was right there for you.
Yeah, and we all can understand this. We're all a part of this. He's talking to us. But it also varies. Sometimes somebody's just really good at telling a joke.
Yeah.
They took over the goddamn world, but the blue collar comedy guys. Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy, Bill Engvall, and Ron White.
Because they were so cheesy and corny yet funny. You know what? They were like the random funny guy at the gas station.
Kind of. The first special that was on DVD was like them, like it was them at not their most popular. Like it was them at here's all of them as good comedians. I mean, Jeff Foxworthy and Engvall, of course, being bigger at that time, but that's what made Larry the Cable Guy explode. They
were still kind of like, going,
But that's what made Larry the Cable Guy explode. And that's before he started doing all of those like gas medication commercials.
Oh, boy.
But then if you look at the second one, it's like, oh, we're great. We're the best comedians in the world and this, that, and let's do all the stuff that works. And it's like, well,
sometimes the second time around might not. Because they were like hungrier in the first one.
I mean, except for Jeff Foxworthy, he was fine.
Well, Jeff Foxworthy. He
had the TV show at that point.
He already had a TV show then. I want to say he had a TV show and maybe he was like in a movie or something like that.
Well, Jeff,
he had been in a couple things.
That was just before Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Oh, okay.
That was just before.
So he kind of was already experiencing success. So, but you had a good moment in time where people like real hungry, and there's something about people that are hungry in comedy that, and it's weird because there are some people that are able to keep that hunger, and you're like, these guys are still funny. They might not be what they were, but these guys still hit. Like someone who I think that's seen a lot of success, but still makes me laugh is Seinfeld, really. And it's random because I don't think he's knocked down, drag out funny, but he'll say stuff and I'm like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
you're not going to bust out laughing, but you're like,
yeah.
There was a time where I knew his retirement album, I'm telling you, for the last time, backwards and forwards. Like, comedy records, that was one of the first things that I would hang on to before TV. Even though my parents would know exactly what I was getting myself into, like especially getting Carlin records, the Dane Cooks. I never had a Chappelle record, but I thank God for YouTube because now all like full specials are available. Whether that's legally or illegally, sorry about that. But it's a lot less of a thing because the words are now being able to get out, and I say teachings, but like those observations are able to be available on a more public, open resource of the internet.
This: when I was younger, when I was like 3rd, 4th grade or whatever, I was introduced to Eddie and
not Raw, because Raw is ridiculous.
I was introduced to Eddie Raw. I had never seen Delirious. I only saw Raw and Richard Pryor almost at the same time. And like you guys watch the show, you already know I have like a certain quick wit. Well, that started from back then. Like I listened to like Raw changed my life. Listening to, I can't remember which comedy album it was. My uncle had it. It was a Richard Pryor joint. And like the next day at school, it was on. Because when we were younger, the kids would make fun of each other and stuff, and it was over. I was like, you can say these things? You can say these things, and you'll be in the principal's office. They'll be calling your mom. But sorry, Mom. Hey, look, I couldn't help it. But
the thing that made me discover Richard Pryor was George Carlin. Because at their arguable peaks, they were like 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And one of Carlin's lines was, and I was running down the street like a black man on fire. And I was like, oh, wait, and everybody laughed. And then I found out that was a reference to a Richard Pryor joke. It's like, and they're cross-referencing their own material? That's amazing.
Cool. And see, I found Carlin through either Richard Pryor or Chris Rock. One of them referenced him in something. Rock. And I was like, who's George Carlin? And then like, my mom's a poli-sci major. She's worked for the government like her whole life. So I've always been like inundated and surrounded by government and, like how history and things, how the government operates and stuff. So then I got this guy that's talking about almost the government like all the time. Almost just like my mom talks about the government, even though she works for the government. And I'm like, this guy is funny. I have no idea who he is because it was a tape. So it was like back in the day there were these cassette tapes. There were these cassette tapes. You would put it in a little I guess bucket, and you would push it closed. You would press the play button.
I guess you would call it a bucket.
Like a tape sleeve bucket, and close it.
Sleeve.
And so I had no idea what he looked like. I just knew this guy is hilarious. He kind of talks like my mom or my granddad or something. Like he has the same views on the government because it's the government. Yes, it is big and slow, but sometimes it's unnecessarily slow, and slow to the point of being special slow.
Disgustingly slow.
But George Carlin was just he was always funny. The way he ripped on, being someone who grew up in the church, always ripping on the church was straight fun. Even though his was more about Catholicism, but there are similar through lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just funny. Just thought this guy was funny, and all the comics. Now that I think about it, all of the comics that I ever liked were guys that were kind of they made a statement about our society, whether it's marriage or something, but it was silly, but also funny, but then it's deep. You're hold up, why do men and women do this? Or why do we do that? Or why do adults do this? And you're
but you
saying those things.
You saying men and women reminded me of somebody now that speaks to us as tubers, Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
Because Bo Burnham started out playing his keyboard on YouTube back when YouTube 1.0.
Yeah, way.
He got discovered, he got signed,
YouTube.
and now he's doing amazing work. He's got a movie coming out, 8th grade, which looks amazing.
I hope, because his success hopefully means greater success from people that are kind of just on the grind, climbing up and stuff. So
it's him and Justin Bieber. It's those two that we hold to that standard that started out on YouTube. And you got sorry, and also Maddie B Raps, of course. But what
you got Liza Koshy, she's killing it. You know what? Liza is someone who doesn't get in trouble. She doesn't. You never see her in any trouble.
Want to?
Well, you know how YouTubers, unfortunately, the stories that we hear, especially about YouTubers that try to do skits and are funny, they're usually getting in trouble and doing something that anyone would be like, I don't think you should film that. But but they do it anyway. Yeah. Liza stays out of trouble. You don't see it. No drunk, crazy car wrecks or
Lily Singh.
Yeah. She doesn't really get in trouble.
She's a beacon of light when it comes to that. Random side story about her. One of her, I work with X-Pac, the former WWE wrestler, legend, all sorts of things.
Very cool guy.
Yeah, very, very, very nice gue, wonderful person, who's in a much better place now than he was.
Loves the show.
Loves the show. He's a fan of the show. He's watching. Hi, Sean. But he told us a story at WrestleMania where Lily's person had to come up to him and say, "Hey, Lily wants to get a picture with you, but she's really shy about it." and then she came up and was just like, "Hi, X-Pac, I was just a really big fan of yours and D-Generation X and the NWO and all that stuff." And I'm like, "Is that a dog?" And they had a really nice moment. And it's cool. But it's one of those things that is she's just like everybody else.
Yeah, she's just someone who's really cool and just loves to make content.
Yeah, but Bo Burnham, all of his stuff on Netflix.
Yep.
Even some his stuff on YouTube. Some of it hasn't necessarily aged well. There's because he plays with the line in a way similarly to how other comedians did.
Yeah.
And sometimes goes a little bit over, but then brings you back.
Yeah, because there's
something.
Yeah, and that's something that great comedians do. They'll cross the line, but they'll cross the line for a specific point or reason, not crossing the line for the sake of. I think that's
they'll cross the line to try to bring the line forward in a positive way.
Yeah.
So that we can talk about this stuff more clearly.
And now I do want to ask you about that. Do you think that comedians that cross the line just for the sake of crossing it, do you consider that still kind of like comedy? Because I don't really, I consider that more like, you're kind of like doing shock value stuff, but you're not bringing, I guess, value to the comedy genre.
That's a genre still. It's not a
kind of like Dice Clay type stuff.
Like Dice Clay is like base level giggles that you don't want to
12-year-old giggles.
Yeah, like that was one of the first, thinking back, before I knew what stand-up comedy was. If now knowing what the basic look of what a stand-up comedy show or special is, I'm remembering my dad watching Andrew Dice Clay. Like my dad had a Clay tape. I don't remember any of the content in thereof, but back when I was a little bit more hardcore in like the history of everything, and I would watch some of his stuff and be like, that stuff doesn't age well. Like the guys we're talking about, there's a lot of stuff that ages really well, and the stuff that doesn't isn't necessarily bad or isn't necessarily a treasure for the time from which it was released. But there's three things. It's like a Venn diagram. It's like all-time good. Okay. Specific time good. Okay. And then just not good. Because like and stuff. I'll
like
say
this made sense in 1995.
Stuff that doesn't age well translate at all. So like there's a couple of like there's some physical comedy stuff that may still work. Like I'd say Marx Brothers, it's not stand up, but it's still comedy. Like some of those, some of that physicality.
Put that in, I put that in kind of like a sitcom type funny, sketch funny.
No,
where would I place that?
They're
would you consider stand up?
They're physical.
I guess?
No, they're physical comedy. Okay. Stooges. All that stuff is all classic. But now talking about like a Carrot Top or a Tape Face. Or like, well, the Tape Face had a spot on
like
TV.
You guys saw my face drop when I was like,
that was it. But but then something that I really got into because it was two things that I liked was comedy magic or magic comedy.
Oh,
and
you know what?
Penn and Teller.
It's kind of, you know what? I see why it works. Like I watch Penn and Teller and I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of interested.
But that's one. I'm
kind of entertained.
But that's one of the things of one of the.
And it's very Vegas.
Oh, it's very Vegas.
It's very
especially
Vegas.
Them. They made a Vegas style show.
Yeah.
But theirs is something that the majority of the world, Americans, the world, whomever, can connect over, and that's illusion and magic, and that's still something that everybody's like, I mean, I know it's fake, but how the hell did you do that?
Yeah, because now the magic becomes, how'd you do it?
Yeah.
And it's, it's something that, because like if I said, hey, I got tickets to Penn and Teller, you'd be like, so?
No.
But if you go see the show,
I would say, let's flip and go.
But most people would be like, nah, I guess. But then when you go, you're like, yeah, I had fun. Mm-hmm. It's like one of those things where it's like they're not super mainstream, but people know them because like commercials and stuff like that. Well, not just
that. So Penn and Teller, they've had their Vegas shows.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of TV shows.
Yeah.
BS being their most recent one that I highly recommend. You can watch all of the episodes on YouTube. Where they're like them being illusionists and going, this is garbage, this is fake, is really interesting, and it sort of like adds to their repertoire of
how good they are.
How good they are, but also they incorporate magic in the show, but also their social consciousness. They have a great show. Speaking of magic being how'd you do that, they have a show called Fool Us. Yeah. Where they have magicians show up.
No, I like that show. I like that show. I like the way they are.
We know how you did that.
Yeah, I like that.
Or like the confer. We have no idea how you did that.
I like that. And I like how they play that off. So it's like they're people who normally I wouldn't like jump up to go see, but I feel like if I went to see them, I'd be like, that's money well spent.
If I had to choose, if we're in Vegas and Vegas is comedy, magic, and now some headliner music shows, but if we're talking about strictly magic, if I had a choice to see Penn and Teller or like David Copperfield, like one of the OGs or whatever, I'd be like, no, fuck that. I'll go to Penn and Teller.
Penn and Teller.
But there's another guy that is much more comedy, but when he pulls the magic out, you're like, oh shit. The Amazing Jonathan is
never heard of him.
Great.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh my god, he had a Comedy Central Presents. Well, actually no, he had a Lounge Lizards, which was like right before Comedy Central Presents. Then he had a Comedy Central Presents. So speaking of this, back when I used to use the hell out of my VCR back in the day. I used
VCR,
to make tapes.
Okay, people that don't know. All right, so remember the cassette tape. All right, imagine a bigger one.
A little bit bigger.
But
a little bit bigger than a Betamax. Wait.
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong point of
Skinnier
reference.
than a Betamax.
No, let's go the other way.
Skinnier than a Betamax. But I think
but
longer,
wider.
yeah. And but you can watch video on it. You put it in a little
you record
tape tray.
Analog to tape, to magnetic tape, and
to magnetic tape
images.
that spins around.
So I would,
and you can record over things as well.
Which I accidentally did to a home movie once. I recorded over a Christmas video with Invader Zim. My mom was pissed. It was unmarked, but they etched it with a razor blade. So I couldn't see it. So I was like, it's a blank tape, because I'm so used to recording stuff, because I would record music videos.
Yeah.
Back when MTV would have music videos, I would hit record pause, so that there wouldn't be like a chicka to start up, and then it's like, all right, we're gonna play whatever, we're gonna play Mystical, whatever. Boom, unpause, and then I would record it, and then I would stop it.
He had the perfect setup.
Yeah, dude, I did it.
I was big on recording. And I wish I know someone owns all this stuff somewhere. They need to just put it up online. And I'm actually going back to Virginia next week for like an extended weekend. But I have a lot of Rap City interviews. I used to love the interviews. Like when Mos Def first came out, or when Tribe Called Quest broke up, or so I used to record all of those. And I didn't really record the videos as much. I like the interviews. But I'm like, I know all that stuff is under Viacom somewhere now in some vault. Just put them out on Netflix or something. I'd love to go back and see the interview from when Snoop first came out, when he was young and fresh faced or something. Those, I just used to love those things. I would record them all the time,
so,
tapes and tapes of interviews.
So my evolution from that was I would make tapes of Comedy Central Presents. And Brad Sherwood, Amazing Jonathan. The tapes are probably still in my house. If I had a VCR, I could play them and translate them. Or I wonder if Comedy Central has made them readily available or not.
They probably they should if they're smart.
Yeah, but the Comedy Central Presents, it was just I'm young, I can't get into comedy clubs. This is my best option. But it's also it's a window into a different world. Jim Gaffigan,
wow.
He started on Comedy Central Presents.
Okay.
I liked, there were a couple of people where I would buy their stuff. Jim Brewer. I remembered the Chris Rock special that I did because I downloaded it from Kazaa.
Wow.
History. So that's what made me, because that's what made me go.
History, yo.
Well, what year was that? Well, it couldn't have been.
Kazaa, you're looking at 97, 8, something like that, maybe 99.
Was it 99?
Kazaa? Because I'm trying to think of that time. That was early peer-to-peer kind of downloading.
Yeah.
You didn't need a VPN yet. You were just.
It wasn't as dangerous to not have a VPN.
Yeah, now it's dangerous. Straight up, I got that email, and then I got a VPN 30 minutes later. I went online, best VPN service. Cool.
So I'm trying to, but even then, that's not sort of necessarily indicative of whether it was the most recent one or not.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. It was either, because I've listened to both at a certain point, but it was either Chris Rock Never Scared,
okay,
or Bigger and Blacker.
Both, which are great.
Both really good.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would always say to people that nobody would get when they would be like, "Oh, I did this, this, and this," is what, you want a cookie?
Yo,
I would always hit them back with that, and nobody would get it, which is
because unfortunately, I know those guys are I take care of my kids.
I take care of my kids.
Thank you.
Great. Just want credit for stuff you're supposed to do. Just stuff that you're supposed to do.
Yo, man. That joint, there was so many. And okay, so let's talk moments. There's a moment in my life of comedy.
I just remembered somebody else.
There's a moment in my life in comedy where I was at my cousin's house and somebody brought over a tape because I didn't have HBO. There was a time when you had to have subscription channels.
Or a scrambler box.
Yeah, or scrambler box.
Like my uncle did.
And I didn't have HBO. A cousin of mine brought a tape of a little show called Def Comedy Jam.
Ooh.
And
wait.
I saw, and it was a one with Bernie Mac. And that's
dude!
Man, it blew my mind. Because Bernie is one of my favorite comics now. Because Bernie is the funny uncle. Bernie's the funny uncle that always works. Just the way he would talk, it's I know that's my uncle. I know that guy.
Oh, that's my
I know
uncle.
that. Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
And
No,
like,
that's a great quality in comedians too. Is just general relatability.
yeah.
If it's like, oh, he reminds me of somebody that I
know
would
this
know,
guy.
and he would tell these stories, or she would tell these stories, and that. So I like, because of the color of my skin, I wasn't as plugged into the world as I was. I didn't really get into black comedy until, which is still just comedy.
Yeah, but it's just a different viewpoint.
It's a different viewpoint, different audience, different, regardless.
But it's still making people laugh.
It's still making people laugh.
Yeah.
And so it was the Blue Collar Tour that made me realize, that showed me that these teams of these comedy team
these guys
movies,
could get together.
and that's what showed me the original Kings of Comedy. That showed me that special as well.
Okay.
And Steve Harvey but Bernie Mac, bringing him up, I don't think people give him as much credit for having one of the most popular and synonymous. He's one of the few comedians that made the TV show based on his material that was so universally loved. Yeah. Like I would put that up against like Home Improvement, maybe. Yeah. But I would even but the Bernie Mac show was just.
It was just funny.
It was perfect.
Because like everybody's had those moments, and it was based on what really happened. Mm-hmm. It's like, yo, my sister was a crackhead, and she had these kids, and nobody wanted to take them, and I was like, well, I'm successful, so I'll take them. And
especially not just being a straight up sitcom, but being that combination of the new style that was coming out of the docudrama sort of thing, where instead of it being like him, it's still him telling the story.
Yeah, it was kind of officey in a way where he would get that moment, sit in his couch and like talk to you. Hey, America.
But you just get him mugging at the camera after something stupid that his kids were doing.
Oh,
like
man.
that made it hit so much harder. But I loved back when I watched television. Yeah. Bernie Mac was one of those shows that I would make sure to hit every single time it came on.
Yeah, because even straight up on Netflix, I've watched the whole series of Bernie Mac show twice.
I don't blame
because
you.
of how funny it is, how everything, because we all every family, no matter what, white, black, Asian, Colombian, whatever, has a Jordan, and Jordan is just
Jordan.
It's like him running around, just getting into stuff, messing stuff up, breaking stuff, making a mess. Is just like. Everybody knows that kid. Yeah. And it's like, sit down.
Man, I kind of...
It's like, just sit down.
That's a great show to go back and watch. I
love Bernie Mac.
But it's and thinking about it some more, there was nothing like it. At the time, previously or after, there was any based on stand-up of this person's life, it was all just straight-up sitcom. Like multicam, whereas this was single camera, and it was shot really well, and the quality was just so high, and the comedy quality was so high. But yeah, Bernie Mac is what a loss that was, man.
Yeah.
That was
one of the funniest guys.
That was one of, comedians are usually the ones that make us hurt the most. And because him, Robin, George, those three were like...
Because Robin Williams was... And Robin Williams might be one of the better guys to make the kind of do the jump rope back and forth between stand-up, acting, and then be like, wow, this guy can act.
He can do it all.
Wow, this guy's... And not just comedic roles. Like, this guy's good. This guy's he's serious. Like
1 Hour Photo, Death Smoochie.
Death Smoochie.
I really Patch Adams.
Dude, Patch Adams,
a movie that made me flippin' sob like a baby. Bicentennial Man. People when it was first coming out, people were like, this is whatever. But now, especially after him being gone, people don't realize necessarily what we had. Yeah. And it was, oh man, Good Morning Vietnam. Robin Williams.
He was like a top-notch character actor, and also a top-notch comedian. Because I remember the way I knew about Robin Williams was way back.
Mork.
My aunt, Well, yeah, but my aunt had HBO, and they would do these like comedy for the troops or something. It would be like Whoopi Goldberg.
USO shows.
Yeah.
Him and Billy
Whoopi
Crystal.
Goldberg, Billy Crystal. Yeah, so that's how I found out about Robin Williams. I was like real little, and I used to be like, I don't know who these guys are. I mean, they're funny. I know everybody else is laughing, so I guess this is because I didn't understand what comedy was. I was like little, so I didn't understand. And then of course later on, I got like Eddie, Richard, and I was just like, oh, now I know what funny is. Yeah. I don't know what they're talking about because I've never been in a relationship. But I know I need to repeat this at school tomorrow because it's funny.
Be the most popular kid in school.
Verbatim, and get in trouble.
With Robin, that was one of the first times I knew I was watching a comedy special.
Okay.
Was his show at the Roxy. I actually watched it with my parents, and it wasn't necessarily the most clean because it was from the late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, okay. So but he was a little bit not safe for work all the time.
No, but he would keep reinventing himself, and he would still have the high energy. His one that he did in early 2000s, that was essentially his big return to stand up.
Okay.
That everybody knew every joke from that one by the time that was done. His talk show circuit that he would run would just be eclectic, and I guess this kind of counts. Something that I've found myself doing recently, and he's a great stand-up too. Craig Ferguson, he used to host the Late Late Show.
I'm not
on CBS.
Super up on him, but I do think he's got something. So I can't really put my finger on it because I'm like, sometimes I'm like, this guy's funny, and then sometimes I'm like, how is he getting worse?
He's too weird. He's so weird. That sometimes not everything lands. It does for me, and I laugh my ass off. But I've been going back and watching old clips of interviews and old clips of his show because I used to love his show. That was back before people started putting stuff behind paywall. And CBS.
Oh boy.
CBS. The Late Late Show would air at night. Let's say Monday night. Tuesday morning, you could go on CBS.com and watch it with the same commercial breaks. Yeah. But you could watch it for free, and all you would have to do is sit through commercials like television. And that's what I thought the future of streaming was going to be. But as a result, I was able to watch a show that's usually on at 12:30 on my lunch break,
like 10 a.m. or something. Like that. Yeah.
But he had interviews with Robin that were just dynamite.
Yeah,
that would like they
those
would
two
take
together.
the
I see
whole
that.
show.
Yeah, you can just have them just be like talk about anything. Just give them like 4 note cards and just talk about this stuff, and you fill up a show.
Something that Craig did is anytime his guest would come out, he would rip up the cards that he had and he would throw them behind his back and say, "So what are you doing?" And they would just have a random talk. It's like, "Hey, I like your dress," or like whatever. But Craig Ferguson he's just a weird boy. But he's got some great stuff on Netflix. Like Netflix has become such a great place for stand-up comedy to live. Yeah,
they're really, really just giving a lot of people a chance that I don't think we would never have seen. The only problem with this, I guess this is a good thing for comedians in general, but they're kind of taking the spot that we all assumed Comedy Central had. But I guess Comedy Central kind of like fell asleep at the wheel, and then Netflix was like, "We got it."
Anytime you're dealing with that's the thing is Netflix, they became an archive for some of the great comedy specials, and then people would start to watch them and be like, "Oh, there's hope in this," and then they start to invest a little bit in new stuff. Yeah, and while still bringing some of the old stuff in.
Producing a comedy show isn't you're not making Infinity War. You get like a nice theater, have some people come out, a couple decent cameras, one microphone. You know what I'm saying?
But like some stuff, like
people.
I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Prom King, but Hassan Minaj.
Oh yeah, he did. I still haven't seen. That's still in my watch list. Yo, my watch list is like dumb long.
But like,
and that doesn't even count my watch list on like HBO Go and Stars and all that. It's a lot of stuff I need to get
to. Homecoming King. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
But like Ali Wong, Russell Peters.
I did watch Ali Wong's. Ali Wong is
Aziz Ansari.
She is stupid, but she is funny.
You know who's good right now? Maz Jobrani. He's really good too.
Okay.
but John Mulaney, Dave Chappelle had his specials that came out recently.
Yeah, like...
One that I absolutely loved because I followed his career from the beginning. From YouTube, sketch comedy guy. Oh, this guy's funny. This guy's weird. Oh, now he's on a television show called Community. And then he made a special called Weirdo. Donald Glover's Weirdo is so good.
Is that the one? I'm trying to think.
He's wearing like a purple shirt where he talks about him and his brothers in Home Depot instead of Toys R Us. Yeah.
That is probably one of the single funniest jokes in a long time, because I don't know if you've had this, but you know when you were a kid and you're like, oh yeah, word, we gonna go to Toys R Us.
My parents have a car. Yeah. We're gonna do the stuff that I want to do.
Yeah,
because I'm the child.
Because I'm a kid. One. Yeah, man, going to Home Depot. He said this brother took an actual dump, and I can just like the way it's funny.
The whole show is super good.
Who's it? Bill Burr, when he did the joke about the dude jumping out the helicopter into the water.
Yeah.
Like there's certain jokes in stand-ups where it's like, I can listen to this over and over, and I'm still gonna cry laughing in this. Like Dave Chappelle with the sprinkle the crack. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially
or when he was in the limo and his driver went, hold on, I gotta take care of something. And he was just left in a limo in the middle of the night.
He's like, hey, baby.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby. What you doing out there? I'm selling weed.
It's like, hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
Because it's like, because we've all been in those areas where it's like, let me go in and lock this door real quick. Because I've been I went one night with a friend of mine. He was like, oh, I'm going to run. We were in Philly. And there's some spots in Philly that are like, this isn't even America. Like, are we in like, we in some like demilitarized zone or something? He went to some corner store. We went to some corner store. He's like, I'm going to run in real quick. He goes in, I'm in the car by myself, I'm looking around, I'm not from Philly. So I'm looking around, I'm like, click. I'm like, man, please. I'm already thinking, how can I get into the driver's seat in case I have to?
But one of my favorite things about those stories is everybody has that thing of like, it doesn't matter where you're from. Yeah. If you're in any place that if you're any place that you're unfamiliar with, you're just like, I don't know those areas.
They're gonna lock it up real quick. I
don't want anybody coming at me, opening up my door. Like, people don't
roll
do that.
The windows up
people here might do that. I'm gonna lock the windows too. But it's so it's one of those stories where we're all like, we've all been generally there and seen something that's like, why is that a thing? but just
this is happening.
Dave's delivery and just the slow build up, I'm locking my door, I'm rolling my thing down, and then I'm selling weed, and just the quick quick payoff.
Yeah, because it's in that he told this story of like, okay, this really happens to people, so it's able to relate to us. But then there's this silly thing of like a baby. But then we've all seen kids kind of like out there hustling. It's like, yo, I think you hustling, but ain't you like 9? Like, it's like we've seen these things, and it's like, this is weird. And like,
it's like I'm selling candy bars, I got gum, I got whatever. I'm trying to raise money for my baseball team.
Yeah, it's like,
no, I'm selling weed. Here's the name I'm going to throw out that may or may not be controversial. And I'm going to take a drink right after I do so. Cat Williams.
Cat Williams, extremely funny. Underrated, but I think due to his personal life, I don't think he'll get the credit.
An idiot and bringing a gun to an airport along with all of the other shit that he did.
But if you listen to just his stand-up, another person that makes a statement, it's silly, it's funny, and then there's something deep behind it. And it's like, most people will just say, oh, he's a hood comedian, but it's like, no, listen. Listen to it.
This man with a giant pip cup and a green suit.
Yeah, because it's like, he comes out silly, and then you're like, oh, that was an interesting statement on socio-political situation right now.
That's a good. It's the the entire routine of getting people in with the "we've all been here" and then going really silly to get everybody laughing, and then going, "Now I'm going to hit you with the serious stuff."
And also, the U.S. needs to help itself. It's like, oh yeah, because like even the joke about like taking the cereal and cookies and stuff, and like, oh, the terrorists did that or something. It's like you know what? It's funny.
The insurgents.
Yeah, it's like because it's like we were in a situation where like at the time on the news things were just getting blamed on insurgents, and you're like, well, what is an insurgent? It's just like
similar to now. It's just a different word.
Yeah, it's just like oh, we'll just blame it on insurgents. What is an insurgent? I don't even like people were just naming
all of your baby's cereal.
Yeah, now
you're like, no, it's
now I guess you can replace that with like MS-13 now or something like that. Like MS-13 is like, you know what I'd like? I'd like to see like someone representing the MS-13 like come on YouTube and be like, look, y'all, we're really not even that big a gang. Like it's like yes, we're in a couple of cities, but dude, you know,
he moves into just one dude and he's like,
yo,
deuces.
Because a friend of mine in Virginia said that a coworker of his that lives in like a gated community was like, yo man, I gotta make sure that MS-13. I'm like, yo,
the president, the hell do you think you are?
The president has people really scared of like MS-13, yo. And I'm like, yo, MS-13 is like, I mean, yes, they are a gang and they do exist and they do gang activity, but he's making it seem like it's the boogeyman like under your covers, like, hi. It's like it's not gonna happen.
Look at a map.
Like you turn off the light,
figure out,
and like the closet door creaks open. It's like, I'm MS-13. It's like, whoa. And like instead of it's like it's just like a gang member.
Oh my God.
But it's not that bad, guys.
But
I mean, yes, it's a serious situation that's taken deep. But Cat Williams, love him. Personal life, yeah.
There was a time where I was like, I can't watch you anymore, man.
It's like,
maybe
why?
enough times passed where I might be able to go back and watch like an early one. But I used to watch those all the time. Back when you just download stuff and it was easy, like we were talking about with Kazan stuff, I would be like, comedy, I would just look up stand-up comedy and I would see Cat Williams, okay, let's get that. And then I went, what am I watching? Yeah. I need headphones.
Speaking of Cat Williams, someone else that caught me off guard was Kevin Hart. Because I saw Soul Plane before I ever saw his stand-up. And I was like,
what an introduction.
This is the worst movie. And then my brother was watching the stand-up, and I was like, man, that's a dude from a dumb movie. He's like, no, man, you got to watch it. He took it to the beginning, because my brother will always send me comedy stuff. Like, him and I will always watch stand-up. And he's like,
okay, really quickly, let me say this. Like, that's that guy from that dumb movie. It's almost as if he was given a poor script to perform with, which is clearly indicative of the type of comedian he is. I don't want that mess. Get it out of here.
Mate,
Where is your logic?
It just tainted me. But then it was the one with his dad wearing no drawers and sweatpants and it killed me, man.
To be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Kevin Hart.
Yo, his first two. Now What Now and stuff, he's getting bigger and all that stuff. But his first two were like, where he was really hungry, those are funny. His newer stuff is still funny, but those ones were like, I want my name known. I've got to fight for every laugh I get kind of funny. And like, man, that thing killed me. And that turned me around on him. Yeah. Because I was like, man, that guy from that Soul Plane movie, I'm not watching this. It's like, no, you got. It's like, no, you got to see it. And I watched it, and I was like, yo, this guy's funny. This guy is hilarious. Like, he did the thing where he sits on a stool. He's like, you can't be scared of a dude like this. And he, like, shook his legs. He was, like, sitting on the stool. I was like, yeah, he is kind of short. And, like, when you swing your legs when you're sitting, you can't really, that guy's
can't be serious.
It can't be that serious when you're just, like, swinging your legs. So that was funny. But, like, those type of things are what I think are the great parts of comedy. The things that, like, kind of unite us. The thing that we can all get together and laugh about this crazy, relationships that we've been in, or crazy society, or whatever.
I find it hard pressed for somebody not to turn out a stand-up comedy special and get something from it. Whether it's, that one joke was kind of funny. Even if it's within, like, the first 5-10 minutes. Even if it's in another language, we can put you can put subtitles on. Like, I think it's such a laughter is the very best medicine. And I think the human experience is so universal to where everybody can turn something on And like I mentioned with my story at that George Lopez show, everybody can find something to connect with, and all of a sudden you're in a room, and I haven't gone to a live show in such a long time. You're in a room full of people, and there's no dissension. There's no nothing.
Rich, poor, black, white, Asian, Hawaiian, Venezuelan, whatever. Everything in there. We're all laughing. Mm-hmm. We're a little bit upset because they charge way too much for chicken wings, but it's fun.
It's fun. Comedy that's got chicken wings. You're in an arena show?
Like when they get like clubs, like a Laugh Factory or something, like they'll have like wings.
Oh, okay, like a straight up comedy
like
club.
a straight up comedy club. I've been in a club. Shout out to a comedian that not many people know unless you remember Comic View on BET. This is way back. But RNSJ,
way back.
Comic View is kind of old, or is it? Did they try to bring it back, or?
No, I mean, not.
It just
to
feels
say that
so long ago.
Not to say that our age gap is very large, but I remember Comic View.
Yeah, but it just feels like so long ago, doesn't it?
Well, so does the interviews you were talking about earlier.
Well,
we were talking about recording stuff on VHS tape.
Well, true. So it's not super long.
Comic View's not that old. I can say like that was around the same time when like Comedy Central Presents was trying to be a thing.
Oh yeah. Good point. So RNSJ comes.
That name sounds so familiar.
And he's a very physical comedian, but he has this bit about his brother who's disabled.
Okay. No. Let me
fighting
just
another guy
really quickly. I'm googling RNSJ. The first suggested is RNSJ brother.
Really? Wow. Because his brother. Okay.
That's the thing that everybody's looking for.
He does this bit about his brother that is disabled, and some people might say slow or whatever. He's disabled, and he needs assistance. Getting into a fight with another person who's disabled at a Burger King. I know that sounds like there's trouble all through there, but he navigates it in such a funny and silly way.
This guy looks familiar too.
He navigates it in such a funny and silly way where it doesn't seem like he's making fun of people that are disabled, but it's like, because in the story, I won't give it away, but in the story, his brother stands up for him, but he's like, no, I don't need you to stand up for me.
About that.
It's weird. I don't want you to fight, but it's like his brother is just a very funny character in his stand-up.
This guy looks familiar. This guy, he seems.
And I spit out my water twice at that show.
And he's got something on Netflix. It's racially motivated.
Yeah, racially motivated.
Yeah.
So he's very physical comedian, jumping around and stuff, but he's also just dumb funny, and he's more on the sillier side, but he talks about family stuff a lot. And of course, when you talk about family, you can always be like, yeah, my aunt does that, or my grandma does this.
Close to that.
Yeah,
that reminds me of something that they do. I was like, it kind of felt like we were wrapping up, but one more person that I'd say, and one more type that not a lot of people can do really well. We talked about a little bit with Bo Burnham being a musical comedian. Stephen Lynch is one of my favorite musician comedians who went on. He ended up. He's really funny stuff that starts out. He's got a really interesting voice. A lot of stuff with great harmony, but it's ultimately really silly and stupid. And he went on actually he originated the Broadway role of Robbie Hart, Adam Sandler's character from Wedding Singer, in the Wedding Singer musical. And that came out the same year as like a Juggernaut show did, and it didn't win any awards, which I felt was bad because that's one of the few things where it's Stephen Lynch. He's a name actor in a new role that would have been great. But if you want something a little bit different than just people talking into a microphone and telling jokes,
because there's a couple of guys like him. I'm trying to think of someone else that does it. Someone else who like plays the keys but has like funny jokes and songs and stuff.
Ninja Sex Party is a good comedy band. They used to do shows in comedy clubs, and now they're more of just a musical act or their music videos are sketches, but they started out as an on-stage thing.
Yeah, Google them. I think hopefully you'll like some of that.
Oh God, what was his name? There was a great stand-up that I even forgot how he started. There we go. What's his name? Otis Lee Crenshaw is this. It's a guy who puts on a character of this Southern man, but he sang these various songs about different, like, life in prison. And there's one that he sang. He's like, I wrote this song while I was missing my baby. It's called "He Almost Looks Like You." And some of the places,
straight up before the song starts. Oh, that's funny.
Like that, but it's like
looks like you.
But that was one that I would. It was a Comedy Central Presents that I would watch a lot. I don't know if he's still working, but that's one of those ones
and that's funny.
Still comes back to me in my head when he almost looks like you.
Yo, because you're thinking, because, of course you're in a comedy show, and that's why you got the setup like this. You're in a comedy show, you're like, okay, when he's talking about song's going to be like, missing you or love you so much or something, and he almost looks like you. You already got the drop. And it's like, because you said it, and I was just like, I was
you were there.
It's like, yo, that's hilarious. It's a little wrong, but way hilarious.
I would reveal another one, but it's kind of the punchline of the song. Okay. But there's another one that
that's good.
I'll try. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. But
cool.
Yeah, Otis Lee Crenshaw. I don't know if I have no idea if he's still going today, but I know Stephen Lynch still works from time to time. Yeah, but now it's just kind of like if you're doing music and comedy, you're on YouTube. Like that's kind of just the way that it is.
What do you think about the move? Because now we have comedian cars getting coffee on Netflix now. It was on Crackle, now it's on Netflix. More people get to see it. What do you think about that series? Because I've been up and down on the series. I guess it kind of depends on the guest and stuff, but it's usually funny seeing two funny people just randomly talking about.
Yeah, two people in a car talking about stuff. How weird is that?
Yeah.
Larry David, call me. I think it's fun. Some of the conversations that they get into, you wouldn't necessarily expect from the people there. But it's that's the type of that's a YouTube show. Ultimately,
true, yeah.
that's kind of a vlog. It's just two people getting coffee and having a conversation.
Yeah.
There was there was a similar setup. I'm not remembering it correctly, so I'm just going to stop referencing it. But people just taking people out of their element and just having them talk.
Yeah.
It was such an
which is
interesting
sort of what I'm
idea.
doing with Rare Air, which is just picking somewhere that's different. That's it's different from my show, different from different from the daily stuff, different from any kind of live stuff I do. I'm like, let's just talk about something.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
But yeah, it's cool. But ultimately, if you want similar stuff, you follow them on Twitter, you follow them on Facebook, Insta. Like somebody who doesn't do stand up, but I would consider a comedian, Will Sasso. From Mad TV.
Would I consider him a comedian?
I would consider him because he was on Mad TV.
Yeah.
And I would consider anybody that he's a sketch comedian, but he's one of the few people that's made a successful he's not one of the biggest stars in the world.
But people know.
But he's so
people
consistent.
Know him. Yeah.
He's one of the few people from Mad TV
that's
gone on and done something amazing.
See, Mad TV, you got Will Sasso, you got of course Key and Peele.
Amanda Sullivan transitioned into voiceover work.
Yeah.
Deborah Wilson did some stuff.
Yeah, but she kind of chilled out.
Yeah, I know I saw her in something recently that again it wasn't huge, but she was still working.
And Mad TV was really funny for a second, and then I feel
there was a really good cast, and then there were lulls, and then there was a pretty good cast.
Yeah, I think what happened is there was a really good cast, and they all got jobs outside of it, and they were like, "We're out. We're making 2-3 times more what we're making here. Peace." And then the show took a dive. Yeah, and that's when I was just like, "This isn't funny anymore." Yeah, but it was definitely.
Mad TV was hot for a minute, but it. People can still bring it up, and what's the first thing that you go to when you think who the hell are we kidding? Aside from Key and Peele, I would say just above Will Sasso in terms of most successful, Phil LaMarr.
Because
when I think I was going to ask
he's
you,
probably gotten the most work
What's the first thing you think of when you hear Mad TV? Like, what's the first thing you think of?
First thing I think of when I see Mad, probably Phil Lamar being Michael Jackson.
For me, it's
the Cabana Boy,
UPS guy.
Oh,
was amazing. One of my favorite sketches of all time is he was responsible for getting dirty movies for a bachelor party, but he was so embarrassed that he just ended up getting like kid shows.
Wow.
But like he was having such a hard time with it, but the person who was working there was like, "This is my job. I don't care. If you want dirty pictures, you can get dirty pictures.
Go
I
get
don't
them,
care."
man.
I think a lot of people think of Stewart first.
Oh yeah,
but,
Stewart.
But then also the I forgot their names, but the two women like that Deborah and Amanda would do. They'd be like, ugh, like they were
they're like
the clicky fingernails.
Yeah,
and everything. Like
those two ladies.
There's some solid stuff in there.
Speaking of that, they did something similar on the Lyricist Lounge show called Gold Digger Chat. And it was gold diggers, where all my diggers at, and that's very, very close to the line. But Gold Digger Chat, it was on MTV. But I guess we can I'll leave on this. We'll leave on this. One of the best sketch type shows that I think maybe top 3 for me, maybe number 1, even though it got cut short, we all know what it is, the Dave Chappelle Show. The Chappelle Show.
Yeah, Chappelle Show.
Is something that came out of the blue for me because I was like, oh, Dave Chappelle's getting his own show? Cool. And then when I saw the first episode, I was like, oh this is where we're going.
Black White Supremacist was one of the smartest
things that's when you knew this guy. That's when you knew Dave is like you thought his stand-up was about to be deep. You were like, no, this guy is deeper, but while maintaining his silliness.
You want to talk silliness? Like, one of the best parts of that thing is after he takes off the mask, and then there's a guy in the crowd who literally his head explodes.
Oh man,
it was like crappy MS Paint blood like on the walls.
But the funny thing is, the Chappelle Show showed me that the cheaper it looks, the funnier it is.
I disagree.
Really?
With Dave Chappelle, it was when we've seen these sketch shows.
Because even like the wigs and stuff, it helped the comedy like because it looked.
But the quality of film.
Yeah.
Like while it similarly to the Bernie Mac show, where it took the comedian material based sitcom and turned it into a one camera show.
Yeah.
He took a sketch show, which still had the same elements of the sketch show of the wigs and the costumes and the this and the that, and made it a one-camera thing as well. And that style made it stand out so much that I think, along with the humor, is what made the...
Because every time you saw an effect, it looked so cheesy, but it seemed like it was cheesy to push it over.
But dude,
because that head explosion is so funny. The head
explosion, but when you're talking about makeup, his white face when he was the news reporter, so good.
Oh boy!
One of the things that I always pull from that show is I just bought this baby cash, and just keep going like known simply
truck
as
driver
Tron.
He was like, I've been winning all day.
Mad Real World.
I got your girl.
Real World. Christian Finnegan was a stand-up that came that sort of like showed up in that, and then he got more work after that. Yeah. The one white dude. There's a lot of great shows. But what's even better is Netflix is such a great resource. That there's a lot of people that have new stuff that just came out, but there's a lot of classic stuff. So I'm looking at this, I'm seeing a lot of the top of the industry. And Aziz Ansari, Russell Peters, Bill Burr, Ela Schlesinger,
Bill Burr is
Hannibal Buress.
Okay.
It's another one. Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin.
Wow.
John Mulaney, Tom Segura.
Very physical, but very funny.
Ali Wong, Joe Rogan, Chris D'Elia, Chris Tucker, Jim Jeffries, Gabriel Iglesias.
Killed me.
Chappelle, Donald Glover, Kevin Hart.
Yo,
and this is just on one page.
Ali Wong killed me, man. Because there's someone new, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to mess it up. But there's a new person on Netflix that has a special. I watched like 5 or 10 minutes because my litmus test is like, yo, if I get like 3 jokes in and I'm not laughing yet, I'm out. And like, yo, my wife and I watched this one guy, and we were just like, nah, not feeling we're cool. But Ali Wong had me done. She, man. Just the whole thing, because of course we have a newborn. Yeah. So all of that stuff about her having a baby, we were like, yeah, we've been there. we were there. Just in December, we were there.
Now you get there's an even deeper layer where all of that kid stuff is going to start hitting.
Yeah, it's going to start hitting. Yeah. And it's like, that kid stuff already hits me because sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I did that. Or I'll be like, my cousin did that. Oh, yeah, we all got in trouble when we did such and such. You know, but yeah, it'll be different seeing it from the father's perspective now. Yeah. You know, because now, when I was talking to Alexis, friend of the show, you know, watches every episode, knows playing. But mad love to Alexis. We were talking about just being a dad, and I was like, I remember when I was younger, I was like, man, my dad, he doesn't, you know, when I have friends over, he's always mean, you know, I can't have no friends over my house. Now that I'm a dad, I know, I've been at work all day. I don't want nobody in in my house.
Well, I think I
want to come home to quiet.
Well, I think that's something just in general of being an adult. And being like, hey,
why are people in my house that I don't know?
Well, not necessarily just that, but just I don't want to talk to anybody right now. Like, I want to be at home. I want to lay in my bed. I want to maybe like just BS on my phone, maybe put some TV on, but I just want to be in a completely different state of place. Oh, we're going to go out and let her do this. You go have fun. I'm going to be here.
Do whatever you want out there.
I don't want none of this mess. That's it.
Yeah.
No,
it's
thank
like,
you.
I've smiled up in people's faces that I didn't want to, but fine, I am home. I don't have to do that. And now you've brought people here.
Get out.
Get out.
Get them out of here.
Out.
Last story I'll tell. One of my favorite little anecdotes. One of the bands that my dad used to be at. There was a local TV station, so it was on local TV, which is YouTube now. Yeah.
YouTube is pretty much like public access sort of now.
Public access. That's what I was looking for. So there was a guy that hosted a Southern California local access TV show that would get bands in to be their band for a couple of shows. Cool. And so my dad was on that show, and there was a comedian that was featured on the show that week, a local LA guy. Maybe you've heard of him. His name is Gabriel Iglesias, because he's from the Valley. Wow. So it was like just as he was starting to blow up. Wow. And so we have a tape of a public access show that my dad did of early Gabriel Iglesias. But that was like, that show made me support him in everything that he did.
Wow. And he's a funny guy.
He's a great guy. He's a wrestling fan.
He has a joint on Netflix. It's not super new now.
No, yeah.
It was last year-ish, late last year, like maybe October-ish, something like that.
I'm sorry for what I said when I was hungry. I'm not seeing a year. Yeah, I'm still not seeing a year.
But I feel like he dropped something maybe like October, November in 2017.
This was 2016, so maybe
maybe I'm mixing up and conflating years. But
maybe.
Yeah, like that guy, very funny. And public access, and all around, not only in here in Cali or Virginia where I'm from, anywhere, there was something very unique and weird about public access. Yeah. Because like, anybody, and I know it's different. See, like anybody can be on YouTube, but YouTube isn't as weird as public access was. Like,
because it was really anything.
Yeah, like public access. Like, if you can find some tapes of public access, say like in the late '80s or something from like 1 a.m. There's something weird. Some random guy, he might be juggling.
Sex talk show.
It'll just be something weird. But that's the beauty and the unique strangeness.
The terror of it. So just because we were talking about it, and I just tried a different search, early Netflix had every George Carlin special on it. Oh. Current Netflix has no George Carlin specials on it, but they do have Richard Pryor live in concert and Eddie Murphy's and Delirious.
Delirious is good. Delirious is good.
So-
I think that's the one. Doesn't he talk about beating up the dude that was like watching Rocky on that one?
That's the one where he's in the red jacket, the whole red leather.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, there's so much comedy out there, and take some of our suggestions and even take a chance. And if you feel like something hasn't aged well, stop watching and watch something else. But there's a lot out there. Netflix is a great resource to just laugh.
Because I've never watched a full Ali Wong stand-up. I just saw a couple of clips on like Facebook or something. But when I saw she had a new stand-up on Netflix, I was like, hey, she's funny as far as I know. Let me watch it. She killed me, man.
There's a great clip that's going around of this guy who took Russian, he took a Russian language course, like advanced level, because there was some like glitch in the thing, but he had to get the grade and take the course. So for one reason or another, he was able to skirt through the entire class. But at the end of the year, they took a trip to Russia. And it shows how he ended up dealing with like the Russian mafia. Whether it's true or not, it's a really funny story. It's been passed around a lot lately. I've seen it. I've seen it like 3 months ago and then like a week ago. So there's some like Facebook people finding random comedy things on Facebook is great, because then you can see it. It can hit you at the right time, and you go, you know what? I'm going to look this person up. And then they may have a Netflix special. They may have a Comedy Central Presents or whatever the equivalent of that is these days. Because who has television?
Yeah.
They may have been on Drunk History once or twice. I guess is the only thing.
But hey, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for talking comedy. I don't think I've ever talked just straight comedy on the show, and that's what this is for. So before we bounce, where can the wonderful people find Mark B Donica?
You can't find any of my material online because that would be very dangerous. I do have a digital copy, but I was a teenager and it wasn't good. But you can find me on Twitter at Mark B Donica, Instagram Mark B Donica, every 2 weeks on the NERDSoul podcast with Michael and Alexis. The movie trivia Schmoedown, depending, I've had matches go up recently, and I'm just kind of around there. And I do a wrestling show, I do a video game show, anime stuff, all sorts of stuff. Mark B Donica, follow me. I got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yes. So, guys, of course, NERDSoul, you know the kid, NERDSoul. Of course, hit that thumbs up or hit that thumbs down and make a comment, because it'll help me out.
We gotta grow.
We gotta grow. Thumbs up and thumbs down. YouTube don't care. It don't make no difference. So anyway, make sure to subscribe. Share this to your friends. And before we bounce, this is us to you, of course, saying peace.